Tonight, heartbreak and tears take hold in an Idaho courthouse.
Because of him, we're beautiful, genuine, compassionate people. We're taken from this world for no reason.
The man who murdered 4 college students faced their loved ones during his sentencing hearing.
And with House members leaving Washington to avoid the fallout of the Epstein saga,
Republicans are on the run. They have done grave damage to the American people.
Democrats seize the moment to call out their Republican counterparts.
Plus, brokering peace, U.S. officials work to secure a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas as the calls to end the war intensify and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsens.
And the battle to stop human trafficking, who's at risk, and the race to save lives. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
Life in prison without parole for the man who murdered 4 young college students in Idaho. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder alongside John Jessup. Well, tears flowed as families and friends gave emotional impact statements at the sentencing hearing of the man who murdered 4 University of Idaho students.
The names, memories, and hopes and dreams of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kelly Goins-Phillips were honored today by their loved ones. Some expressed their anger directly addressing the killer, while others talked about leaning on their faith.
I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Instead, I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer.
John 1:5 says, "Light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcomes it not." And when you saw my granddaughter and her friends, their light, because they have such a light, you couldn't stand it.
Because of her, I came to know my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because of her, many will come to Christ. It is Christ who lives in me that has given me the strength to forgive you. Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter without you even being sorry. I pray that before this life is over, that you ask our Lord and Savior in your heart and to forgive you.
Brian Kohberger quietly listened and declined to give his own statement today. His plea deal, admitting to killing the 4 at their home in Moscow, Idaho back in November 2022, took the death penalty off the table. He will serve 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole and an additional 10 years for burglary.
All right, in other news tonight, new developments tonight over the Epstein files are being met with skepticism from lawmakers and President Trump's MAGA base.
The Justice Department is seeking to talk to Jeffrey Epstein's convicted co-conspirator who's currently behind bars. CBN's Michelle London joins us with those details plus reaction on Capitol Hill. London.
Well, we can start with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is scheduled to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days. And this comes as President Trump ordered the DOJ to release all credible evidence in the case in an attempt to change the narrative over an issue that's taken on a life of its own. Blanche stating on X that if Maxwell has any information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, then the FBI would hear what she has to say. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena Maxwell to testify on the stand. Speaker Mike Johnson, however, announced the House would take an early recess for the summer, likely avoiding more votes on the Epstein case. West Virginia Congressman Thomas Massey expressed his doubts over the moves.
The president's staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out, and now we're being told it's a hoax. It doesn't wash.
And Democrat Senator Cory Booker believes the House of Representatives is, quote, running out of town to avoid the issue. Listen.
But this is so patently a hill of lies upon which the Justice Department and House Republicans are trying to hide behind that they can't stand to have debate and discussion about it. So they're canceling their plans and running out for a summer recess.
Yeah, and this is all happening as Maxwell's appeal to get out of prison continues. She's currently serving 20 years for conspiring with Epstein and trafficking underage girls. Meanwhile, Majority Leader John Thune believes Democrat reaction is part of their resentment toward the recent rescissions bill passed last week. Thune also told reporters he feels the president and Attorney General Bondi will make the right decisions on the files, but opens the door to committees examining the matter. John, Jenna.
All right, CBN's Michelle London. Thank you, Michelle. Well, for more, let's bring in our panel. CBN senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright and Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections, who also happens to be a Faith Nation contributor. Welcome to both of you. It's good to have you.
So, gentlemen, today we learned the Justice Department reportedly told Trump back in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Also today, a federal judge said she would not release grand jury documents in the case. Nathan, to you first. How does all of this complicate the White House's efforts to show some transparency on the Epstein case, especially with so much public pressure coming from the president's own supporters?
I think that they're in a little bit of a mess, right? And I think that they knew that calling on the court to release a grand jury, the grand jury statements that probably wasn't going to result in anything. But the president and the White House are in a bind here, and ultimately, the base wants to have that transparency that they believe that they were promised. And politically, I don't think that this means that Republicans or the base are going to vote for Democrats suddenly or that. But right now, it is pulling Capitol Hill it's paralyzing Capitol Hill. And the Capitol Hill and Republicans aren't able to work on other issues that do affect the American people because they're trying to figure out how to navigate this particular situation.
Yeah, and Kelly, with that federal judge blocking the release of those grand jury records, what is the White House's plan B now, and what next steps could we see from the administration?
To be clear right now, we do not know. We try to get that question in today during today's White House press briefing. Look, the Attorney General has made it clear that she will continue to push for, as the President has requested, more transparency about what happened and getting the information out there. So we have to wait and see exactly how she will proceed now that the judge has blocked this.
You talked about that press briefing. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was also there at the White House today. She says they have no reason to believe the Obama administration, including President Obama himself and his top intelligence chief, manufactured intelligence about Russian meddling in the 2016 election. I believe I actually misread that. They have reason to believe to undermine the Trump administration during his first administration. Kelly, can you tell us a little bit more about that? And did Gabbard break any new ground today?
She broke new ground in releasing information from her DNI office going back to 2017. And in that, she talked about the fact that the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, along with some of his top people in the intelligence community, actually manufactured intelligence to actually create a coup against Donald Trump as the President of the United States. When she was asked if she believed that the former president, committed treason, she said that is something for the Justice Department to decide and a court of law to decide. And when asked if she believed that the former president would be brought to trial because of the fact that the Supreme Court actually exonerates or excludes members of the executive branch, the President of the United States, they're protected. And she said that is up to the Justice Department once again. So this really opens up a can of worms that many people are just kind of scratching their heads saying, what is going on? When will the shoe drop? The Obama administration, which has never talked about this, an Obama spokesperson just yesterday talked about the fact that they believe that this is a sideshow and that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is trying to sidetrack and sidestep the issue of Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, Nathan, former President Obama was directly implicated in this case. Tulsi Gabbard said today. Your thoughts on that?
Well, if we look at the details, that two things, was there evidence that Russia meddled with vote counting in that tabulations? There is not evidence, but is there evidence that Russia tried to influence the 2016 election? I think the answer is yes, because on July 13th of 2018, the Justice Department under President Trump indicted 12 Russian intelligence officials for hacking in relation to the 2016 election. So there is some evidence there, but broadly, I think there should be a concern that the current president of the United States was sharing a fake video, an AI-created video of a former president getting arrested and charging him with treason. And I think that President Trump has normalized some of these things, but this is not normal. And if they have the evidence against President Obama or people in the administration, charge them, take it to court, and let the process play out rather than just standing behind a podium and making very serious allegations.
Yeah, we'll see where the DOJ takes this case. Turning to Hunter Biden, he's making some news. He gave an interview to the At Our Table podcast where he really blasted Democrats for ousting his father in 2024. He spared no one, Kelly. How is the Hunter Biden conversation being received by Democrats and Republicans here in Washington?
I'll start with the Republicans first. They're looking at this saying, oh, well, no surprise here. I'll look to Democrats now saying, yeah, some of the Democrats are saying that he's right, that Hunter Biden is exactly right, that he was abandoned by, his father was abandoned by Democrats in office. How will the Democrats respond to this? Well, they're looking for leadership. They are leaderless and rudderless right now, as many critics have attested to. And so they will wait. We'll have to wait and see how they really coalesce behind these statements that Hunter Biden has made in defense of his father, which some people on both sides of the aisle actually understand, although they don't understand all of the proclivity that he has, the penchant he has for dropping F-bombs.
We are heading into the dog days of summer. The House is on recess early. Nathan, what will you be watching for when both the House and Senate return from their annual August recess?
Well, it's going to be, it's going to be a few weeks, and I think, how does the Epstein case play out, or how does the situation play out before Congress comes back into session? Because, the House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed Ms. Maxwell as well, and are they able to, either before we get to the Congress coming back or in those first few days, get past this so that Congress can get to the other bills and the other business that Congress needs to do.
Now, Kelly, I saw you shaking your head in agreement there.
Well, Nathan's right. That's part of it. But don't forget exactly what happened during today's White House press briefing from Tulsi Gabbard. And that information, which is stunning, that some people are now looking at the former President of the United States, Barack Obama, as being treasonous. And that is going to make for a lot of discussion while Congress is out of session.
Okay. Kelly and Nathan, thank you both very much. Coming up, mass hunger grips Gaza, the latest on the crisis in the Middle East, right after this. All right, turning now to the crisis in the Middle East. More than 100 aid groups are sounding the alarm, warning of what they call mass starvation in Gaza.
The groups are blaming Israel's military blockade as the IDF continues fighting with Hamas. But Israel strongly disputes the claim. Officials say Hamas, not Israel, is responsible for the shortage, accusing the terror group of stealing aid meant for civilians.
In Gaza today, there is no famine caused by Israel. There is, however, a man-made shortage engineered by Hamas. Now, too often, the full story is not being told. This suffering exists because Hamas has created it.
Israel says an average of 71 aid trucks a day have been allowed into Gaza, but the UN says 500 to 600 trucks are needed, 500 to 600 trucks are needed to feed the population daily. Jerusalem is also criticizing the United Nations, saying 700 trucks have already been cleared by Israeli forces whose aid still haven't been distributed. Meanwhile, conditions on the ground continue to deteriorate, with charity kitchens forced to shut their doors as food runs out.
Things are very difficult, and we do not know what to do. We have become hungry. There is nothing, no food, no drink. We do not even know how to deal with the children.
And now the United States is stepping in. White House envoy Steve Witkoff is traveling to Rome Thursday. He's pushing for a ceasefire deal and the release of 50 hostages still held by Hamas. The State Department says Witkoff also hopes to open a new humanitarian corridor to get aid to civilians in need.
Well, Russia and Ukraine are back at the table, meeting today in Istanbul for a third round of U.S.-brokered peace talks. However, expectations for a breakthrough remain low. Ukraine is demanding a complete ceasefire, including an end to strikes on civilian infrastructure. This comes after Russian drones knocked out power to over 200,000 homes in northeastern Ukraine. President Trump is pushing both sides to act, warning Russia it has until September to agree to a deal or face new U.S. sanctions and more American weapons sent to Kyiv.
Fighting human trafficking here at home, why members of the Trump administration say it's a top priority when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. According to the United Nations, more than 27 million people globally are victims of human trafficking.
Yeah, from forced labor to sex trafficking. At a conservative political action conference today, members of the Trump administration highlighted the federal work being done to protect the vulnerable and punish offenders.
We have several agencies that have become specifically skilled and trained to fight human trafficking. Our Homeland Security investigators are an agency that is a partnership with ICE that do the investigative work and specifically are the best in the world at going after traffickers. They go after them every day, and it doesn't matter what organization that I talk to, they say your HSI guys and gals are the best. They always are able to track down those who are trafficking individuals, find the ringleaders, and be able to rip that evil off by its head.
And for more on the fight against trafficking, we are joined by Brittany Dunn, COO and co-founder of Safe House Project, a nonprofit dedicated to ending child trafficking. Brittany, welcome. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
It's great to have you, Brittany. We just heard from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem about the federal efforts to combat human trafficking. From your perspective on the ground, how big of a problem is it right here in the United States, and what does that actually look like?
Absolutely. So human trafficking has really woven itself into the very fabric of the United States. It's estimated that every year, hundreds of thousands of Americans are trafficked right here in our own community. These are kids in our school, our churches, our communities. And tragically, we believe that victim identification is only at 1%. I think the other really important piece to note is that 40% of kids are first trafficked by a family member. And so these are these trusted people in their world that they develop a relationship with. And the harsh reality is that they can't trust them, and those are the people actually exploiting them. And so as much as we look to this issue internationally and globally, we can't ignore what is happening right here in our own backyard.
Yeah, that is just unfathomable and so sad. Brittany, Safe House Project focuses on child trafficking specifically. You mentioned identification. What are some of the signs that a child might be at risk, and what should all of us, parents, teachers, be looking for?
There are many indicators of human trafficking, and it depends on the age and vulnerabilities of the individual. For kids, we're often looking for those who are fearful, maybe have inappropriate knowledge of sex for their age, are dressed inappropriately either for their age or the time of year. They could have multiple cell phones and more. But really, this is a very complex issue. And so when you suspect human trafficking, it sometimes leaves you feeling like you don't know what to do and helpless. And so that's why our team here at Safe House Project actually developed something called Simply Report, which is a first of its kind AI-powered multi-channel platform that lets everyday Americans report suspected human trafficking, both minors, adults, sex, and labor. And they can do that anonymously and in real time. And that Simply Report tool, it uses a behavioral risk model, and then we'll route those vetted tips directly to the appropriate law enforcement agency, and then connect survivors, both sex, labor, adults, minors, with our survivor support team to get connected into shelter, trauma-informed services, and just provide them with the support that they need on that pathway to freedom. But it's also a comprehensive system designed to help survivors find that freedom faster, but communities respond smarter.
Brittany, I want to go back to something you said earlier. I think most of us are aware that at big sporting events, oftentimes that can create a market for human trafficking. But you had mentioned churches. Can you give us an idea of what that looks like, how victims end up being in churches?
Yeah, unfortunately, churches are just one more venue where there's a lot of vulnerability. Individuals are coming to the church to have their needs met, or there are individuals who are coming because they have experienced extreme trauma, and that's a place they seek safety. And just like in any community, there's a bad apple, and they will prey on the vulnerabilities that they see in front of them. And so I think we just have to recognize that although the church is a place of safety, it is a place of refuge, it is a place of healing, there are those times when faith can be weaponized in the wrong direction to actually exploit individuals. And so we really appreciate being able to help wrap around survivors and provide them that care in a way that acknowledges that there is maybe some hurt that they have to overcome that maybe the church was responsible for.
All right, Brittany Dunn with the Safe House Project. Brittany, thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thanks, Brittany.
Okay, still ahead, a child piano prodigy heads to the big stage, or stages. That's next on Faith Nation.
Download the CBN News app. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Get the CBN News app today.
Finally tonight, a child's fascination with the piano revealed an incredible gift.
Yeah, the talented 5-year-old from Los Angeles is already headed for 2 world-famous stages. Alex, let's see if I can do this. Kejadorian has been playing the piano since he first started walking. When he started piano lessons at just 4 years old, his parents realized he had a natural gift and perfect pitch, meaning he can recognize music notes just by hearing them. His parents say they don't pressure him to practice. It's just something Alec enjoys doing on his own.
He's still very much just a goofy 5-year-old and loves to play all day, but once he gets on the piano, it's a whole different story.
And Alec will make history this summer as one of the youngest to perform at Carnegie Hall in New York City. He's also performing at the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles.
2 things. Go ahead.
I was just going to say he's adorable.
Yeah, I was going to say you did a great job pronouncing that
Thank
last
you.
name. But also, I mean, it's a little bit of a mixed thing. Like, he's 5 and already a prodigy. It makes me feel like,
I know. What are we doing?
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good night.